tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So hello everyone and welcome to Dharma Bum Basics. So tonight's topic is being at ease with uncertainty, which is a fancy way of saying that I couldn't decide on the topic. So that's what we'll be talking about tonight, being at ease with uncertainty. And I'll get into that a little bit more later, but we'll start with a brief guided meditation. I'll be saying some things like breathing in through the eyes and the ears. These are perceptual exercises to be able to spread sensation of relaxation, because the breath is very much a relaxing sensation. To be able to take that tension relaxing sensation and spread it to areas that we might not be sure how to consciously relax, like the center of the head or the organs, so that the entire body can be free from tension. So that's what we'll be doing. I'm not suggesting that we literally try to breathe in through the ears or anything like that. It's a perceptual exercise. But at the same time, on a biological level, the whole body is involved with the breathing process. We're breathing in through the surface of the pores. Oxygen flows through the blood, animating nerves. So the breath is involved in the whole body process. The whole body is involved in breathing. So that's what we're just kind of tuning into with this style of meditation. If you're sitting in a chair, if it's a really comfy chair, maybe not use the full backrest because you're more likely to fall asleep. Helpful to have feet flat on the ground. Tongue can be pressed up against the roof of the mouth and the back of the teeth, which prevents the buildup of saliva, which can become distracting. It's good to imagine a string kind of pulling the crown of the head up, shoulders up, back, and you can relax them down into a sturdy posture. And with that, we'll get started. Closing the eyes and taking 3 deep breaths slowly. Noticing if deep breathing feels good for the body. And if it does, you can keep on breathing in this way. If it doesn't, you can switch things up. Try even deeper still or more shallow, heavier or lighter. Just noticing what feels best for the body in this moment. You can even pose the question in the mind. What kind of breathing would feel the most energizing or the most calming for the body? And then just watch how the breath responds. Once you've found a rhythm and texture that does feel good, you can just stay with it for a while. Breathing in, settling into the body. Breathing out, settling into the moment. Just taking a moment to check what kind of perception we hold about breath and awareness. The perceptions that we hold in mind shape our experience of the moment. So, do you perceive breath and awareness as two separate things? What would happen if you tried holding the perception that breath and awareness are one thing, one seamless activity? Without breath, awareness would fade away. And without awareness, you wouldn't notice breathing. So you can think of them as one thing, not two. Just noticing how the shift in perspective shifts experience. And then taking this one thing, this breath awareness, beginning to work it through the body. If breath and awareness are one thing, then wherever you place your awareness, the breath will follow. Start with the center of the head. And as you breathe in and out, you can imagine this breath awareness coming in not only through the nose, but in through the eyes and the ears, in from the back of the head, down through the top of the head, gently flowing deep into the brain, soothing mental tension. And as you breathe out, you can allow the breath to radiate out from the center of the head in all directions, dissolving tension in the scalp and the forehead and the area around the eyes. Soothing the jaw. There's no need to force anything, simply allowing breath to flow. Soothing the head as you breathe in and keeping it relaxed as you breathe out. With the head spacious and relaxed, you can allow that soothing awareness and that breath energy to flow down the body, flowing down the arms as you breathe in, radiating out from the arms and hands as you breathe out, relaxing tension, dropping the shoulders. Flowing down the spine as you breathe in, lengthening the spine, radiating out from the spine as you breathe out, soothing tension in the back. allowing the breath to come in through the tailbone as you breathe in, flowing down the legs, radiating out from the legs and feet as you breathe out, soothing tension in the hips and knees and feet. Raising awareness up to the stomach, the abdomen, and noticing any tension in this part of the body. Allowing the breath to flow through it, dissolving it away. If you want, you can imagine the breath coming in and out right there at the navel, so you don't have to push or pull it from anywhere else. Raising awareness up to the center of the chest and the area around the heart. Breathing in, drawing the breath in through the chest, soothing the heart. Breathing out, allowing this breath awareness to radiate out in all directions, opening the chest. And then little by little with each breath, expanding breath awareness out from the heart to fill the entire body, connecting all these sections that we focused on for this past session. And filling them with breath awareness. Breathing in, drawing breath in from all directions. Breathing out, radiating out, soothing the body. Maintaining this breath-centered, full body awareness. You can slowly begin to open the eyes and stretch if necessary, taking the next few moments in silence, never in a rush to leave the meditation. So as I'd mentioned in the beginning, tonight's topic is being at ease with uncertainty, meaning I couldn't decide on a topic. So those of you who've sat with me before and know me, know that I really enjoy preparing for a class. I'll spend that morning all the way up through the day kind of preparing for the class. When I first started leading classes, I'd spend an entire week preparing for the class. So tonight I thought it would be fun to not prepare at all, so that I can join you all in being at ease with uncertainty, because I'm uncertain what I'm going to talk about tonight. So when I'm doing any kind of class, and typically with the discussion circle, I'll have a whiteboard up right here, and it'll just have some bulletin points on it. And it's as much for me as it is for everyone else in the room to kind of keep track of what's being talked about. So when I've been doing these YouTube videos, I actually have the whiteboard here with some bulletin points of what to touch on so that I don't go off track. Tonight, the board just has one bulletin point and it says improvise. Just thought I'd give myself a laugh. Remember not to take things too seriously. So we're living in a time right now where there's definitely a lot of uncertainty. And it's a question of how to be able to deal with this uncertainty in a skillful way. And for me, the way that I deal with uncertainty is to kind of really stay anchored with the things that I know to be certain, the things that I know are unavoidable. And I'm sure as soon as some of you heard that I'll be improvising, you probably have a general idea where it's going to go. But there's something called the 5 recollections. Jeff touched on them a few weeks ago, and it's probably my favorite topic. I was planning on talking about it next week, but I guess it's tonight. So the 5 recollections are something that they're universal truths. They're objective statements, and sometimes people can see them as pessimistic, but I see them as kind of freeing, very liberating for me. So the 5 recollections are: I am subject to aging. Aging is unavoidable, or aging is a natural part of life. I am subject to illness. Illness is a natural part of life. I am subject to death. Death is a natural part of life. I will grow different, separate from all that is dear and appealing to me. And then the 5th one is: I am the owner of my actions, heir to my actions, born of my actions, related through my actions, and live dependent on my actions. So it's karma. So these recollections I found really helpful, especially in this type of environment where we have a lot of illness going around and there's a lot of panic and fear surrounding illness and death. And what's really helped me in this time is that I do these recollections are part of my morning chanting that I do. So I recite them each morning. So for many people, when something like this happens and we have this kind of this unprecedented illness and this fear of death, it can be really overwhelming. But when you have these kind of these certainties, you know that aging, illness, and death are just a natural part of life. It takes a lot of the sting and a lot of the panic out of it. Because instead of, oh my gosh, where did this all come from? Instead, it's viewed through the lens of, yes, this is a natural part of life. And it makes it a lot easier to deal with because we're not necessarily taking it so personally. Because these recollections don't just apply to us, they apply to everyone. We will age, we will grow old, and eventually, or we will age, we will grow ill, and eventually we will die. And it's not something to be afraid of, and it's not something pessimistic. These are just objective statements. And there's a real freedom in seeing their objective nature, seeing that they're just the way that life is. And then that 4th one, which maybe for some people sounds the scariest, I will grow different, separate from all that is dear and appealing to me, actually has 2 meanings. So one is the one that you probably interpreted as when you first hear it, that all the things that are dear and appealing to you will, through the whims of time, fall away from you. You'll lose a lot of these things that you find dear. And that's true. That is a part of life. But the other side of this, which is in my opinion, the more freeing part of it, is the growing different. I will grow different, separate from all that is dear and appealing to me. Also means that all of these things, a lot of these things that you find dear and appealing and so immensely important, and you're terrified of losing them, a good portion of them in 10, 20, or 30 years won't have nearly the significance to you that they have now, because you will grow different from them. You will lose a lot of the interest and allure that you had in them with the passage of time. And that's something I found really beneficial to keep in mind when I'm really holding on to expectations, really holding on to my ideal scenarios, is that in 10 years, sometimes even in a year or a couple months, the things that I was panicked about or worried about or stressing over won't really matter that much to me anymore. We change so much, we change by the second. We're in a constant flux. So it's helpful to remember that. And then the final one, the verses on karma, is to remember that to be mindful of what I'm putting out in the world, and be mindful of the things that are happening to me. And when bad things happen, the contemplation on karma helps me personally not to victimize myself, because the contemplation on karma states that you are the heir of your own actions. So the majority of any scenario that you're going through, you had a part in the past that plays into it. So no one's the perfect victim, if that makes sense. No one's completely objectionably innocent in that sense, because past karma influences present moment. And for me, that really helps me keeps on track of what I'm putting out into the world, so that either me in the future or some future me also doesn't have to deal with a lot of the things that I'm struggling with right now, because I've started making better choices, less remorse, less guilt. So I find these contemplations really useful. When we have so much uncertainty, there's certain things that are certain. And being able to have those as a foundation is really a beautiful thing. It's really helpful. So if at any point you have any questions, you can leave them in the live chat on anything that I've said or anything else related to Buddhism. I'd be happy to answer them. So, David asked, I know you said that you chant the 5 recollections in the morning, but do you have any other practice during the day that you use to keep you present? So, I chant those recollections in the morning, and then throughout the day, I check back in with myself. One of my favorite things to do throughout the day, and you've probably heard it before, is when you notice that you're in a panic, to stop and take 3 deep breaths. But I've added on to that a little bit with myself, is to stop, notice if my forehead and my shoulders are tense, relax them, and then take 3 deep breaths. It has slightly more impact because you're relaxing a lot of the tension, and as I'm always talking about, physical tension in the body becomes mental tension. So we take 3 deep breaths and we check in, and that's wonderful. But if we're still all tense because we only checked in with the breathing, but we didn't check into bodily tension, then we're going to very quickly go right back to being stressed out. But if we can check in with those breaths and take that time to notice tension and breathe into it, relax into it, it can make a big difference. So in the morning, I'll chant those recollections, and then also throughout the day, I take a walk to the end of the street, and at the end of this street here, there's like a ravine that looks over into another city. I'm not sure. I'm not great with directions, but it looks out onto the city, and I walk down to there. Some nice exercise, and then when I get there, I'll do more chanting. Typically, like sublime attitudes, like may you be happy, free from stress and pain. May your good fortunes continue. May you be at peace. Stuff like that. So I'll sprinkle in the chanting throughout the day to keep myself anchored. Because I found in my own practice that chanting is the most beneficial for me. It's more beneficial than any amount of study, and it's more beneficial than the seated meditation practice. But the seated meditation practice is crucial. But what gives me the most lasting effect throughout the day is the chanting. So, yeah. Any other questions or comments or anything else? Marisa asked if I'll share some of my morning chant. Okay. So, yeah, there's definitely time. I'll do the sublime attitudes. So I think that's a pleasant one. Okay. Aham Sukhito Homi, may I be happy. Nirukho Homi, may I be free from stress and pain. Awero Homi, may I be free from animosity. Abhiyan Pejo Homi, may I be free from oppression. Aniko Homi, may I be free from trouble. Sukhina Tanhan Pare Harame, may I look after myself with ease. Sambe Sata Sukhita Hantu, may all living beings be happy. Sambe Sata Varahantu, may all living beings be free from animosity. Sambe Sata Abhiyan Peja Hantu, may all living beings be free from oppression. Sambe Sata Nika Hantu, may all living beings be free from trouble. Sambe Sata Sukhina Tanhan Pare Harantu, may all living beings look after themselves with ease. Sambe Sata Samadukam Bhamachantu, may all living beings be freed from all stress and pain. Sambe Sata Ladha Sampati Toma Viganchantu, may all living beings continue to abide in the good fortunes they have attained. Sambe Satta Kamma Saka Kamma Dayanda Kamma Yoni Kamma Bantu Kamma Pati Saranang. All living beings are the owners of their actions, heir to their actions, born of their actions, related through their actions, and live dependent on their actions. That's one of the most common ones, the sublime attitudes or the Brahma Viharas. I really enjoy that one. I do that one multiple times a day. It's just, it really gets me in a good headspace. And there's several other ones, but I won't go into all of them. On the Facebook group, I'll probably post a link to recordings of some chants that I really enjoy. Yeah. So any other questions or comments or anything else? Glad you guys found that helpful. So any questions or comments on anything else? Anything that you're sitting with? If there's anything you'd just like to share, you can put that in the group chat. I'll also post the link here in the comments. What's the name of this? The chant that I just did was the Sublime Attitudes. I don't know what the translated name would be, but it's the Sublime Attitudes, so Brahma Viharas. But I'll post a link in the comments here and on the Facebook group. They're really helpful. And chants are beneficial, I think, in part because a lot like songs that we listen to and we get the song stuck in our head, with the chants we can get the teaching stuck in our head. So then there's a little bit more of a chance, I've noticed throughout my day, when I'm being stressed out or angry or anxious, the chant will come up on its own. And that's just through continual repetition, day by day. So the chants kind of act as a safeguard for me. Because a lot of you know, I don't really listen to music, especially not lyrical music, some classical and stuff like that. But a few years ago, for my own benefit, I replaced listening to music with listening to chanting. And most particularly chanting that was in Pali, which is ancient Indian, and in English. And it's been really beneficial for me because, you know, when you have a song stuck in your head, it comes up over and over, whether you want it to or not. And when you have a chant stuck in your head, same thing happens. When you have those moments where you're trying to convince yourself to be unskillful or go do something that you know you'll regret, the chant has a way of popping up and putting you back in your place, or putting me back in my place. So I find them really helpful for that. Any other questions? So Janie asked, will I also be doing Saturday 2 p.m. on YouTube? Most likely for now, I won't. I do plan on, I have one ready to go, but I do plan on releasing a shorter, like 20-minute to half-hour video. That's not a live stream, but as a guided meditation, releasing that once a week, probably on Fridays or Mondays or something like that. So I'll start putting those out pretty soon to kind of fill in the gaps in the current online schedule. It's the Saturday at 2 p.m. class, for those who don't know, was 2 sessions of different styles of guided meditation with a little bit of Q&A in between. That will resume when the normal temple schedule resumes, but for now, I'm not sure if I'll be doing that online, but I'll release some guided meditation separately. Will chanting help replace fear with faith? I believe is the question. So I actually have, there's enough time. I have a fun little story about this, specifically about these 5 recollection chants that when I was in a really intense situation, it did replace fear with a wave of calm or a wave of faith. And that is, probably about 5 or 6 years ago now, I was in a car accident, and I didn't really get injured or anything like that. But I was on the freeway, and someone kind of swerved in front and went across 3 lanes of the freeway, went back across, came back, and then T-boned me up against the grind rail. And on the other side of the grind rail was just like ravines. And then the grind rail was running out. And so I had been doing those at that time still. I had been doing those 5 recollections daily, every morning. And I remember it was so interesting because in that situation, instead of any kind of fear, any kind of panic, the only thing that came to mind was Marana Dhammohi Marana Nganatito. I am subject to death. Death is unavoidable. And because of just that kind of acceptance of it, I didn't panic. And because I didn't panic, I was able to maintain control over my vehicle and not go down the ravine. And it was just a really interesting experience. And I had been doing the 5 recollections semi-daily up until that point. And then after that point, religiously every day, because they quite literally saved my life. So the chanting definitely can help replace fear with a sense of ease. And yeah, so it was a really interesting experience that I had with that. Any other questions or comments or anything? I'm not sure if we're practicing half day of silence or not. If we are, we'll probably post something about it, but I'm not sure as of now. So if anyone else has any questions or comments or anything, if not, we can close with a transfer of merit. Eric, you're more than welcome to tidy up your own house if you want to after the class is over. He said, should we put the chairs back to normal? So what's funny is actually the first time that I did the live stream, when I was setting up for the live stream, I almost started setting the chairs up, and I was like, wait, what am I thinking? I don't need to do that. It's just that force of habit. So on that, we will close. So if comfortable, please join palms. May any merit gained from this meditation and discussion be dedicated to all those who suffer at this time. May all beings in all directions, without limit or end, be joyful, healthy, and at ease. May we all be joyful, healthy, and at ease. Metta karuna mudita peka sangha teya cetasa chaturi sambharatva viharati sambhabuddharu pavena sabadammaru pavena sabha sangharu pavena sote hantu nirang tarang. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. It's a pleasure to sit with you all, and I'll see you next week.